Hi, so the first thing we learnt in Module 3 was hybrid entrepreneurship. This was basically the parallel nature of running a part-time entrepreneurship with part-time wage employment. There are certain key aspects of this, and there's more likeliness for the success of hybrid entrepreneurship because there is a balance between the risk, the level of risk. There's more financial stability and the ability to network between the different two roles. So you can gain a larger network between bigger groups. Downfalls of hybrid entrepreneurship were the delays in launch. Investors are potentially less motivated to invest in the product because there's less focus on that venture. However, overall, it is a safer way to potentially transition to full-time entrepreneurship. It's used as a trial and error method with more sense of security as a fallback to that wage employment if the entrepreneurship fails. So the second thing that we learned was social entrepreneurship. This entailed starting up a social venture which was created by telling a story, connecting people together, and then creating a movement, and then finally making change through that movement. We learned that there were two types of innovators, the sustaining innovator and the disruptive innovator. The sustaining innovator provided better quality or additional functionality for an organization's most demanding customers, whereas the disruptive innovator didn't necessarily meet customers' needs. However, they're typically simpler, more convenient, and less expensive. So they appeal to less demanding customers, I guess. The third thing was women's, in lecture 11, it was women and refugee entrepreneurship. We learned that Australia is one of the largest facilitators for women in entrepreneurship, being the second largest in the world. We learnt the demographic profile of the women entrepreneurs, who were generally married, had children, generally older as well, and they often pursue a venture that's related to their previous study background. We learnt that there were push and pull factors that influence their motivation to become an entrepreneur. These can range from the flexible schedule or boredom to creativity and entrepreneurship role models. The key success factors of them is they maintain a reputation of the business image and other things like retention of staff and stuff like that. The key differences between a female and a male counterpart is that females focus on the client relationship more, the network behavior, leadership styles is more nurturing, and they have a larger desire for growth. Then the last thing we learnt was refugee entrepreneurs. So basically there was two broad types of entrepreneurs, two broad types of these. They were enterprises started for refugees, being like pop-up cooking classes, or enterprises started by refugees, so driving schools or catering services, stuff like that. So the second part, the main things that I've learnt in this whole course were I found that the mapping of the ecosystem and the problem-solving weeks were the biggest takeout for me of the course. For starters, it was good to have some level of structure and formalisation as an entrepreneur. Categorising the Melbourne ecosystem into different elements helped identify different avenues in which an entrepreneur can look for help and support. For identifying the educational institution network sectors was a highlight for me, I guess, as I was able to interview people involved in that actual field I was interested in, and research, gain a greater understanding of how those agents influence different sectors of the ecosystem. And then lastly, bouncing off that ecosystem concept, I'll probably most definitely use this in my future as an entrepreneur, because it's a valuable resource to map out my particular ecosystem in relation to the field that I want to get into. Hopefully this will help me sort out key agents which I can use in the future, to support me in different aspects and things that I need to improve on. So yeah, basically you'll just nut out if I need to help in any specific areas, or if I'm lacking or need development to make my business more successful. Thanks for listening.